Hey all, this is Altbeer running a few minutes late for our weekly badge stream. Have a lot to talk about with the Godzilla badge that I'm gonna start opening some stuff up and show you all. Let's see, so we'll start with this middle board because that's where most of the work has been done. And it's gonna take a minute to open because it's big. I think I can. Alright, there we go. See if I can shrink you down a little. Alright, so this is the middle board with almost all, I think it is, all the components have been placed now. I'm still jiggling them a little here and there just to make sure I have room to route everything. But yeah, this is going pretty good. Let's see if I can, how long the 3D view will take to show. It might take a minute. But basically, after I'm done routing the traces on this board, and we'll do some electrical tests in KiCad to make sure it's all good, the only thing that's left is the backboard, which is mostly not heavy art and it's no electronics, so it's it should be pretty easy. And then I want to do a silk screen uh, crypto challenge. So, oh god, this is slow. I was hoping rebooting my machine would help speed things up, but I'm thinking these files have just gotten to the size that my machine is choking on them. On this machine, I only have, I think, 16 gig RAM. On my other machine, I have 64, but that's not the one that has the streaming rig hooked up. So, yeah. All right, let's go back to this view. Will it let us even? Wait, I saw it load. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, finally. Okay, so here's where we're at. Like I said, all the components have been placed, and I might need to jiggle them around here or there, but this is the majority of it. This top part, this right now is just showing solder mask void, but it's going to be exposed copper. I just haven't done the copper fill on it yet. So this will be one touchpad, capacitive touchpad. This will be another. And for those that don't read Japanese, this is Godzilla versus. It's the way that the characters that they use in the Toho Studios posters for the old school Godzilla movies. So I decided to go with NeoPixels for the eyes because I think it'd be cool to change the eyes colors. And we ended up with 8 NeoPixels total. So what we have is only one NeoPixel that's going to be the flame effect from Godzilla, and then 5 that are his tail, 3 going down, 2 going up. And then you'll see these LEDs here, well, at least these 4. I decided to make all the LEDs white because I figured they're lighting through the PCB. We don't need to get fancy with colors for some of these things. And by doing white, I can flash these really fast for a lightning type effect, the way we did on the Future badge. Because that worked out really well. And this way, it makes it simple because it's all the same type of LED going everywhere. Now, this one here, it lights up like the explosion stuff on the front board. This is the flame effect, so he'll have a little lightning, and then the NeoPixel for color. Then, what do we have here? So the nuclear explosion, the tank firing, and the battleship firing are all lit from behind. And so that's where we have 3 of the LEDs are on the back, and these will have to be bent over the way we did on the Cowboys versus Dinosaurs board. But it's only these 3. All the rest of the LEDs will be straight up and down the way they're in the viewer here. So yeah, that's the primary components all listed out. So I decided to put the battery up top just because we had lots of glowy areas in the front, and that thick ass battery is just going to be a dead zone for light. And I figure if there's going to be a dead zone for light, it should be on the back of the head. And so in order to support it up here, I went with 4 of these 90-degree angle header pins. Well, there are 2 in each set, but 4 sets. And you'll notice the placement of these. Kind of zoom in here. These 2 on the bottom are placed in such a way that the battery will rest on them, taking the weight of the battery, if you will. These 2 are below like the area of the sides of the battery. That'll prevent it from sliding back and forth. The wires plugging in should prevent it from pulling out. And then we're going to put rubber bands between here and here, like in an X pattern. And that should hold it nice and secure in there. Similar to the single rubber band we did for the Cowboys badge, this one will just have 2 rubber bands, like in an X pattern. And I think that'll work out pretty good. Are you guys hearing me okay? And can you see the stream? Okay, cool. Alright, so that is that. Now you'll notice on the back there's these 2 little things on like the ear area. This that's off the screen behind my face. This one here is from the Godzilla -1 movie. It's that logo that they used in Godzilla -1. And that's going to get copper behind it, and this will be a touchpad that's on the back side of the board. So I thought that'd be cool to do. And then I don't think anyone that's seen a modern Godzilla movie made in the US recently, you probably know what this symbol is. That's Monarch. And once again, that'll be copper filled, and that'll be one of the touchpads. So yeah, I think between the explosions lighting up on the back here, 2 touchpads on the back, the 2 touchpads on the front, and then we'll be lighting up the stuff from the front board here. I think we're just about done with design. It's just a matter of tracing things out now, and that should be pretty quick. And then I guess I should make a note about where I decided to do the standoffs. I decided to go with 6 standoffs, 3 for each set. So like front to middle gets 3, and then middle to back gets 3. So on this middle board, you'll see all 6 standoff holes. So you'll see the 1, 2 up here, 1, 2 here, and then at the bottom there's 2 kind of offset. And the idea is it'll be like a triangle of support, and that should be enough to hold all the weight and everything. Any questions that you guys have, or what do you think? What are the thoughts from the badge team? I think it's cool. One thing that I had to do, I had to redo the SAO connector footprints. Basically because we're putting SAOs so close together, the silk would run into the pads on the other one, on the old footprint. So I made like a short silk version that just cuts it off. but you still have the key there. That way you can tell where the key is and the label of which one's connected. And then if you flip it over to the back side one just has the name. It doesn't have like the ground and positive listed, because that's the one that's not electrically connected. That's the one that's just going to be for storage of the SAO. So if my measurements are all correct, hopefully this will work as intended, because this is a very measurement heavy board set, because not only do I have to line up the front PCB and the middle PCB and the back PCB, but now I have to line up 4 different SAOs and where they'll plug in and get everything measured perfectly. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about how I did that, and so I'll minimize that. I don't think I'll close it out yet since it took forever to open. So you'll see on here all these cool little lines, and let me highlight the user 9 and maybe make some of this stuff go away. So I use this user 9 layer as just another type of user drawings, mainly because I wanted to be able to hide the user drawings just like I did, because user drawings has like the keystones and a lot of other stuff. But this is how I was able to line up like where all 4 SAOs would go, their exact measurements and their overlap and the front and the back, and to see how I came up with this, I actually started with the edge cuts. So I'll go into the footprint viewer here. Okay, let's bring you over here. So yeah, where the edge cut is for the SAO board, I did some measuring. Like I measured from these 2 points, because basically I did it as like half of a drawing, copied it, flipped it, so I know that these 2 points are the middle section. And then I measured the exact center of the middle, and I had to raise it up enough that I could put like the name of the monster or whatever they're fighting underneath it without it being messed up by these things. Plus I think I needed to have them higher just to have it line up on the badge properly. But yeah, so I just measured out these lines, and I measured them out based on the footprint for the SAO. That, and I took some exact measurements, like this here, the 12.9. That's where I actually took out my little measuring tool and one of these little guys, and I measured it, and it's 12.9. And what is this one? It's 4.1, and then this is only 9/10 of a millimeter high. So little things like that, I got exact measurements, and then these, the square and the circles, are based off the solder mask from that footprint. So it's fairly accurate. And then by putting it here and then doing a version of this for the placement of each of these. So this is edge cuts 5, edge cut 6, edge cut 7. This allowed me to then make a reference sheet that had all 4 of them on it. And once again, if I turn off the user drawings, you can see it's just that section of the user 9 layer. That way that shows up on the badge when I import this footprint into the badge. So on the PCB, I'll import this whole thing, and then that gives me the lineups. So now I know where to put the SAO connectors on the badge. And then the footprints for these individual guys will tell me where I need to put that footprint the SAO footprint on the SAO. So yeah, a lot of detailed measuring and a lot of move exactly, which I wish uh, I always forget the shortcut key for it, which I know now after today and tonight working with it, it's Shift M, where M just moves something, Shift M will move exactly. Well, thank you for the compliment on my technique to align boards. Yeah. The keystones are the key. These little plus signs that I use as keystones. That is what lines up everything when we get to this. So because I have all kinds of layers in here, like you'll see there's a lot of other drawings. These are just user drawings of this is where the backboard edge is. This is where the front board edge is. So it makes it easy for me to know when I'm placing components on this middle board, is this something that's going to be exposed on the front or on the back? Do I want it to be exposed? Do I not? And that's why like things like these resistors are way up here away from the LED, because I don't want that to be exposed, and it would be even though they're on the back, because the backboard cuts in so deeply to allow the SAOs for storage. So yeah, definitely love the keystone idea. I think this is the first year I've really done the keystones. I did other similar things like using the edge cuts as a user drawing before, but that was much harder to line up because edge cuts is all squiggly lines, right? With these keystones, just like 8 plus signs up and down the sides, it made it very easy to line these things up. One of the other things that I need to do, just actually thought about it. I want to do some more drill holes on the middle board, just smaller drill holes that are going to be for clip-ons for the SAOs, because I'm going to put a similar drill hole on the SAOs, and the idea is to have like a little thing like what's on here, right? They make them, I have a bunch that I got on Amazon that have like the string on one end that you can loop into itself, and then on the other end it has a little alligator clip. And by doing that, we can loop the string through the SAO bottom and then clip it to the middle board, so that if it gets knocked off of the badge, it's not going to be lost to the void. It'll just be hanging there below on the string. So it's a little safety net. I think True from the Whiskey Pirate Crew is the first one who showed me that. And once he showed me how to do that and what he used to do that, I've been using that ever since. I love that. And it's a great way to not lose your SAOs, especially in the heat of the moment at DEF CON, where you're hugging people and bumping into people and wearing a giant badge vest with a million of these on it. You won't hear one hit the floor. Yeah, so the little alligator clips are strong enough. I wish I had one here, but I don't think I do. But yeah, I'll see if I can find it on Amazon to show. They are pretty strong. They hold really well, because once it gets knocked off the badge, it's free hanging by the string. So it's not. It's the string is on one end, but the alligator clip is firmly on the other end, and so just the weight of it pulling on it. I know I'm not explaining it right, but that's enough to hold the clip closed. So, but yeah, that worked out pretty good. I'll have to see if I can find it real quick. No. So yeah, we have lots more to do with this badge. I guess I'll go back to the 3D view. Where'd you go? I'm just a little worried about a lot of the small art in the center here, if you're even going to be able to see that with the 10 millimeter distance. And I'm hoping that the lights from here will light it up. If not, it was a good attempt and it'll just be a dark void. But I'm hoping that works out, that the lights light it up from the front as well as the back with the nuclear explosion thing going on. Yeah, that's right. The SIO won't have a lot of momentum to it, so if it gets knocked off, it'll just kind of hang there. All right. So real quick, I guess, what do we have up? We have the Cowboys versus Dinosaurs. I know I handed off to Sapien a bunch of those dev boards to start flashing, and I think Hash, you and some others were gonna flash some boards as well, but I didn't see a DC214, so I'll have to get those to you. Okay. Yeah, if you want to swing by and pick them up, that'd be cool. We'll just coordinate a time, like tomorrow or Saturday, and yeah, that works. Yeah, we can coordinate offline and then and figure that out. Yeah, so once we get a bunch of those flashed, I think we have everything we need to start building the kits. So then I might start sending a bunch of stuff home with you guys to build kits if anyone's interested in helping build the kits. Yeah, I and that's, oh, that was the other thing. So documentation for the build. I haven't had time to go back to the Cowboys webpage and update like the instructions on how do you build the badge, which is not there on the Cowboys page. I was hoping someone would have time to pick that up, just to write the docs for assembly, since I think all of the badge team was at the solder party, so you should all know how to assemble it. It's just a matter of doing the step-by-step stuff in documentation, and I can always take the pictures later, like photos of each of the steps, so it's more about just getting the text in there. That's the hard part. Do I have a volunteer for that? Yeah, everyone hates documentation. Well, we'll see if I can rope Rex into it. He's not on the call. He might. All right, what else? What else? So we have the packaging for that, and then the Cowboys versus Dino should be done then, except for the soldered ones, the solder party that we need. I haven't checked the Indiegogo campaign today to see how we're looking. It was kind of disappointing. I don't think we even hit 50% yet. Let's pull that up. Yeah, we're still hovering at 42%. So we really need to get some more backers, because we've already spent more money than we were asking to raise. So any ideas people have for getting people involved in Indiegogo beyond what we've done? I think we've sent notices out to Twitter and to X and to other platforms like Mastodon and Discord. Other than constantly providing updates, I'm not sure what else we can do. So it is what it is, and we do have flex funding. So if we don't raise the whole thing, we will get whatever we raised. So we'll just have to count on the Hacker Warehouse sales as guaranteed sales then at DEF CON. Yeah, and that's the big package effort is going to be for Hacker Warehouse, because that's where we need to have 50 of each badge type as kits ready to go by the end of the month. And I don't know if that's going to happen with the Godzilla, to be honest, because we haven't even ordered the PCBs yet. But I do have all the other components, so I'm hopeful, and maybe we'll get lucky. All right. Yeah. Wing it and order all the PCBs. No, I don't think with this one I will. Just because I'm really worried that I made a mistake measuring something, because there was literally 50 different things that I had to do exact measurements on, and if we're off by like a tenth of a millimeter, it's going to screw things up. If I messed any of those 50 things up, then we're going to need to reorder. And so as much as I would like to rush it and try to order all the badges at once, I think we are going to need a prototype, but I am going to pay for rush shipping and rush manufacturing of the prototype. With a small number of badges, or PCBs rather, hopefully that won't be more than a few $100 to get them in. But I think we have to have that as a minimum with this many measurement points and line up this and line up that. That way we can make quick adjustments. And then if it turns out we don't need the adjustments and everything is looking good, then it's really easy to just click reorder. So I don't have to spend the time to like upload the Gerbers and all that. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for that. So, hope it works first try. Yeah, I did that with the Cowboys, and we got lucky on the Cowboys badge, but really that was only 30, right? And for 30, it's just a little bit bigger than like a prototype run. If it would have failed, I wouldn't have been out that much money. Where doing the full run of these is going to be probably $2,000. I don't want to spend $2,000 if there's any doubt that it's going to line up properly. All right. Any other things I'm missing? What else do we need to talk about? I think I mentioned Solder Party. Possibly doing that on like the I think it was the 29th is a Saturday, if my calendar's right. And my thought was it's Saturday the 29th, if you guys are available. Oh, excuse me. We would do the solder party there to solder up a bunch of both badges to like fulfill the Indiegogo orders and others. And then if we do it early in the afternoon, by the time we're done, like dinner time, well, actually, we could do it later in the afternoon, but anyway, we can have some pizza and some beer, and then walk over to Celebration Park where they have the big fireworks display in Allen, because my house is walking distance from the fireworks. So I know they have food and stuff in that event, but it's always crowded and overpriced. And what we usually do is set up camp like on the sidewalk outside of the event where you can still see the fireworks perfectly fine, but we can bring our own beer and hang out after soldering if you guys are interested in that. Oh yeah, our town always does the 4th of July early because they don't want to try to compete with the other bigger towns around, like Plano. So they're always like a week before the 4th of July is when they do their big fireworks celebration. And they try to get people from those other towns to attend, so they have like a lot of music and food and all kinds of stuff. So, and if they did it on 4th of July weekend, they would lose people to those other cities doing their own things. So it's kind of smart, but it makes it very crowded around here at that weekend. So since you'll be here earlier, where you won't have to worry about everyone showing up to park on our street because you'll already be parked here, I thought that might be a good way to do it. So yeah, let's see what else we got. We talked about the Indiegogo. We talked about this, and I think I mentioned to everyone at DC214, and we need to pass the word again to the local people that once the Indiegogo campaign is done, the prices go up. The Indiegogo pricing is the lower price. So like the kits being $60, they're going to go up in price when we sell them at Hacker Warehouse and at DEF CON. The Assemble being $120, that'll go up, and you won't see the bundled discounts anymore. So if people want them, we really need to get them to buy them in the next 5 days. Yeah, I think a lot of people, because in years past, well, especially last year when I did the Indiegogo, I told people that were local, well, it'll be the same price later if you don't have the money now, but we really need to get that in now. So that's why I'm hoping to encourage people to do it this way. Because we don't want a recurrence of last year where we have a ton of badges to sell at DEF CON, and we run afoul of the DEF CON vendor policies. So that's why we did the Hacker Warehouse, but if we have too much for them, I mean, we'll have a bunch of stock left over, and I don't want to take a bunch of badges home with me. All right. Think. I can't think of anything else that we really need to talk about. I've just been heads down getting all of this stuff done. I guess I can walk through a little bit of it. So we got, so you can see the outlines here. This is like the cutout outline on the front board. And then these are like the solder mask areas on the front board, like the back solder mask of the front board. So you can tell like what areas are going to be glowy. That's where I wanted to put the placement of the LEDs. So that's kind of how I lined that up by using those, taking that stuff off of the front board and just making it a user drawing on this middle board. So yeah, we have the NeoPixels. The way I did the chains is we got, why am I, oh, because I turned off the silk. Okay, we'll do front silk. So we got D10 is the first one of the, wow, does it look like the Big Dipper? Oh yeah, I guess it does. I didn't even plan that. So D10 is the first string of NeoPixels. And then it jumps up here to D11, jumps over here to D12, and then the very tip of the tail is D13. And then the other string starts with D20 over here. And then he has 21, 22, and 23 there, making up most of the tail except for the tip. And I did it this way to try to like parse out the LEDs for tracing, because all these connect to each other, and I figured this one had the longest traces going around. So I would try to keep this one shorter and more compact. But I didn't want to have the cross stuff going where I have to do vias to jump things over other things. So that's kind of the placement there. And then with the way the NeoPixel strings work, we only have one resistor for each of the strings. So R10 is the resistor on the data in for the D10 string, the whole string, and R20 is the data line for the D20 string. But then all the regular LEDs have a resistor per LED like normal, and those are numbered along with the LED. So R1 is for D1. So yeah, standard nomenclature there. Each of the NeoPixels also has a capacitor. That's just because they can get very bursty with the current draw based on how they're changing colors, and this just kind of smooths that out. It's not a large capacitor, it's just one of those little disc capacitors, like a 100 NF, that is meant just to smooth shit out like that. What else? Oh yeah, so let's talk about the power. So here's the power connector for the cable, the wire that's going to come across into the dev board. And I tried to line it up to where the plus goes around a plus and minus goes around a minus, so that we don't have a situation like with the Cowboys badge where it flips completely upside down because I put it in the wrong way by accident. So this should work out better. And then I'm hoping with the wire coming around here, even though it's on the back side, I'm hoping it won't get in the way of the storage of the SAO on the back, but we'll have to see how that works. Worst case, we can always pull the wire through here and then have it flip around under, but that'd be kind of kludgy. So yeah, we have that, and then that is driven by the ground and battery for the ground for the battery and the voltage for the battery, that's a different ground than the main board ground, because that's just basically the negative line off the battery. I probably shouldn't have called it ground. And so what we have is coming off the battery here, we have the plus and the minus coming off the battery, and the minus goes directly into, it'll be traced all the way over to here. It's the plus line that we're switching out, right? And so we have the plus line comes in here, and then the other end goes here. So basically this switch, when these two are connected, it's off. When these two are connected, it's on. And I'm just now realizing I probably want to flip those around, because we want up to be on and down to be off, right? Or am I being too anal retentive about that? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Up, on makes sense. All right, so let's flip you. Bam, bam. Yeah, that'll be fine. And these crisscrosses don't mean anything because I can wrap one around here. There's plenty of room here to do that. Now you'll notice this is a little bit further out than on the Cowboys badge. And that's because I realized that, you know how we were doing the switches and bending the pins over manually to make them 90-degree pins because I didn't have the 90 degrees? Well, I bought a bunch of 90-degree pins. I'll show them for the camera here. So the little legs are already pre-bent up and they're a little longer, so they work better. But what I didn't realize is that these also have a little longer switch on them. The actual plastic switch part is about 1.5 millimeters longer, I think. So I just pulled it out a little bit more. That way the switch isn't sticking way out here. And on the Cowboys badge, it's at the bottom, hanging down, so it's less of an issue. But on the side here, it would be very noticeable. That's why I thought I'd pull it in. And of course, that was one of my other measurement things. I measured the exact distance from the pin to the tip of the switch, and hopefully that measurement was right. Let's see this. All right, so what else do we have to talk about? I think it's going really good. I think we're making good progress. I know we still have the SAOs to do, but I'm not going to wait to order the Godzilla badges on the SAOs. I'll get those orders as soon as all three PCBs are ready, and then I'll start working on the SAOs. I already have a lot of the work for the SAOs done, as you saw with the edge cuts and all that. It's just a matter of getting some art on them, and we have some art started for some of them. Yeah, on the the question that came in on the SAO design, did I include some way for Godzilla to detect which badge is connected? Short answer is no. There wasn't time. I started looking into it, and I just had to focus on getting the basics done. And so that means these SAO connectors on the badge are power only. I'm not doing anything but power, so that means we're not going to know what things are plugged in where.
On the ESP32, does every line have the ability to do an ADC, or is it only certain ones?
It's only certain ones.
Are those available?
Let me see if we have any available.
Because what I was going to say is just run an ADC line from each one of the active SAOs, like from one pin to one ADC line,
Uh-huh.
and so that we have the option. And then on the SAOs, just do like two resistors, between like VCC and ground, with the middle of them coming out to that line, so that we can say, okay, we can install a couple resistors on the SAO and build a voltage divider, and then just quickly detect, like, is it 1 volt or 2 volts or 3 volts or whatever. And if we populate it, cool. If not, then we don't. But at least we have the option to kind of easily do it and add the firmware.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like we have these are input onlys, and
Yep.
there are 4 ADCs there.
Yeah, so just do like GPIO 34 and 35,
Yeah.
because we have two SAOs, right?
Right,
That can
2
be
that are
active.
active. Right. Yep.
Yeah, so just run one to one, one to the other, just some middle pin
Yep.
that's not used or whatever. And then on the SAOs, we'll just do a little voltage divider with two resistors.
Okay.
And then that way we can make them like 1, 2, whatever. Yeah, we'll come up with like some values for some resistors or whatever.
Yeah.
But then if we want to do it, we can do it and test it out. And if not, we don't have time, well, that's okay. But at least the whole thing is ready for it.
Right. Yeah, we can use like pin 6 on each of these, which
Yeah.
is a GPIO pin on the SAO. Yeah,
Yeah.
that could work.
Yeah, and a cheapy, easy voltage divider, we just do like a 1K and a 10K and a 4.7 and a 10K, something like that. We just build some little voltage dividers and say,
Yeah.
which one's which, a quick kind of thing to detect it. And then
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a good idea.
it could
Yeah.
be a pretty cool feature for pretty little bit of work.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I can build that into the badge part pretty easily. Cool. I will get that going. And then on the actual badge side, like you said, if we have time, great. If not, at
Yeah,
least it's there
I think
for
on
the
the
future.
SPOs, it's just
Yeah.
literally picking resistor values. It's like, what are like four, essentially, basically it's like you could have one that's, yeah, we just need like 10K, 1K, 4.7K, whatever four kind of, values are that'll get us there, that we can slap on those little things, so that we can have, you could have one that has nothing. No, you gotta have something for all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, like, whatever the base resistor is going to be, maybe 100K, something like that, so it
Hmm.
doesn't draw a lot of power, and then 1K, 10K, whatever,
Right.
33K and 50 something, or whatever, 68K, whatever the most common values that we can easily get. and then maybe you do some little artwork on the thing itself. If we pick the resistors, you could label it on the SAO. If not, we can just stuff them in there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it would be pretty easy to write some code to just pick up what the voltage is then.
Yeah, it sounds perfect. Awesome. Yeah, this is why I like having these meetings. We get cool ideas.
Yeah, yeah. If it just means routing a couple traces, at least
Yeah,
for the
that's
badge
easy.
itself, it's like let's just do it, so we don't miss the opportunity to. Especially if we end up with
Yeah.
some extra time at the end, we'd hate to be sitting there being like, "Damn, we should have done
Yeah,
it
I mean,
sooner."
the pins are right there and the SAOs are close by, so it should be easy to route those. Should be pretty easy, and I'll just have to update the schematic and kick out a new net list and import the new net list. But I've done that a dozen times already, so not a biggie. In fact, hell, I could do it now. Otherwise, I might forget. All right, so yeah, so basically what we want, let's come over here.
I tweeted out about our badge. It's got a number of retweets so far, so hopefully we get some orders from it.
That's cool. All right, so let me choose a nice input. There's an input guy. Actually, I don't have an input on this side. All right. All right. So I'll make him 35. And make you go the other way. Oh, and he's an input, so he stays that way. All right, we got 34 and 35. And then all right, I gotta move some stuff around. Put these too close together. All right, so make you an output here and flip you around. Oops, I don't want that yet. Gotta move you first. Move the whole thing. Okay, delete you and route this around. And delete you. That should be all there is to it. We've got 34, 35 coming into 34, 35. So let's save it. We'll run a little DRC check. No errors. Export a net list. Yep, that's the one. We can save this and close this. Come over here. And we will import a net list. Load and test. And it's always going to give errors on these capacitive touchpads just because I don't have footprints assigned to them because I'm going to do them manually. So that's not really a bad thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you do those. Just out of curiosity, like, you know, since you have these different shapes and you have the different kind of imagery on there, are you creating like a schematic symbol and kind of a footprint for each one of those that are on there on the board, or how are you doing that?
I used to do that, and it was a big pain in the ass. And now what I do is just work with the solder mask void, and then I can put a big block of copper behind it. So
the footprint is just a solder mask void, and then you basically just do a fill of whatever you want. And
exactly.
Then, where's the connection point? Is there a pin or something that comes across, or a pad?
Yeah. So let me just check this. Did we get that? Yes, it looks like that is now wired to 34, and then this side should be 35. And yeah, we can do one of those right now. So let's do the top. So what we do is we use the nets, right? So if we, did I close the schematic? I might have. Let me open the schematic again really quick. So you see these little nets, the 4, the 2, the 15, the 13. Those nets are everywhere when you're running traces, and it doesn't like me flipping back and forth, I don't think. All right, let me close this back out. Ah, damn it. All right, well, we'll have to wait a minute for that. And actually, let me close out this. Maybe that's eating up memory. No, wait. I want to save my changes. All right, well, that crashed on me, so we'll see if it comes back in a minute. But basically, oh wait, did that work? Yes, it worked. All right. So basically, when you're running traces or anything, you see how there's these little things like ground, right? Or even down here, it has the net name in it, right? So when you do a fill area, and I think one of the touches were 4, but I could always do this later. So we're going to add a filled zone.
Oh, so you can just assign a net to the fill. And then
right. And so I'll just make a simple one here. And basically you say what copper is it going to be on, right? And so I want this one to be on the front copper. And so where's front copper? Adhesive, paste, silkscreen, drawings, edge. Okay, wait, cancel. I think I have to have the copper layer selected when I do the fill zone. That's what messed me up. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So I'm making a front copper, and you see how you have the net here? So I think, no, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but you can change it later. I'm going to choose net 4 and just say this is part of net 4, right? And it's going to be a solid fill, and you can do a lot of settings for this stuff, right? And then once you're there, now I can draw whatever shape I want. I can come around here and make sure it connects when I'm done. And now it shows up like that, right? Now, because this is net 4, what I can do is I can run a trace. So I can route tracks, and let's say we have net 4. Where are you, net 4? Probably over here, 4. and it will actually let me connect to that filled zone. It should, but I might have messed it up. So let's go back to the filled zone. I choose the right net. Zone name for zone. But basically that's how I do it, is I route directly into the filled zone from a trace like that, right? And then when it is viewed in 3D viewer, which I'm not going to take a risk on opening right now, you can see that it's copper now instead of just that mask. But this way the solder mask area is easier to work with than the copper, because what I used to have to do with the copper is, let's say this was a footprint in that shape with the copper, right? But I want it to be a single capacitive touch zone. Well, I would have to have my connections here and here and here and here. I have to put all these connections in to make sure it's all one connected piece, and then cover it with solder mask where I didn't want those showing. It was a big pain in the ass, where this is just a lot easier to deal with. You just do a filled copper zone, connect it in through the traces, and boom, you're done. And because it uses those nets for all the tracing, like even when you zoom in here, see that this line is net 4. Yeah, and that's why I like on the schematic using the global tags everywhere, because it assigns the net numbers, where normally it'll try to do it on its own. Like if you didn't have one set, it will, I'm trying to think of if I have any like that, it will assign a name, a random name for it based on one of the pins on one of the ends, right? So this way I always know what the net numbers are, because I'm assigning them in the schematic. So yeah, that's how you take care of that. But yeah, I'm hoping to have this all 3 of these PCBs ready to go by the end of this weekend. And there's a lot left to do, but I'm going to spend a lot of time getting it done. One of the things that I'm working on is the crypto challenge, to work that into the silkscreen part. That way, I know Sapien's probably needing that information for his code-based crypto challenge, because we're going to tie in like the solutions to the silk challenge into the code challenge. So
yeah, I'll need to know what they are.
yeah, and I haven't figured that out yet, but I will have that done by this weekend. So
That's cool.
yeah. Oh, Sapien, so you're on. I know you were asking me about flashing the badges, and I think I forgot to mention an important point. You don't need to solder any of them. In fact, don't solder any of them, because we're not pre-soldering the dev boards. All we're doing is flashing code on it, and then you take the header pins and the dev board and put it in the new Ziploc bag that I gave you. So yeah, if you thought I gave you 40 badges or 40 dev boards to solder, I'm not that cruel. For the kits, people got to solder their own.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on soldering it, to be honest.
Well, that's
That'd
good.
be a lot of soldering.
Yeah, it would be. Yep. Close that out. Cool. I think this was a good meeting. Yeah, oh, I did find that thing. I had a search running in the background. So the things that we were talking about for the to hold the SAOs to the board. Pull this over here. I bought some of these last year, and basically they look like this. So and it would be helpful if I moved it to where you can see it. See if I can make it bigger. Yeah, it's not making the picture bigger. But basically, it's just a little string and a little lobster clip. And I think, how many do you get for $8? Like 30 or 50 or something? Do they even tell me? It was a bundle. There's 100. Yeah, you get 100 of them for $8. So, and they work out pretty good. So you can see that they use them for like charms and other stuff. But there's a good picture of the size of them in the hand. So yeah, I think something like that will work great for the SAOs. I just got to put the drill holes into both the board, the PCB for the badge, and the PCBs for the SAOs. And then that'll be an extra little protective step. So more money to spend. Yeah, it's like a little lobster clip. It's not like an alligator clip thingy. Yep. Well, I think that's all I had for tonight, guys. Questions for the badge team on anything that I've presented here or next steps?
I don't know, and just want to remind everybody to help advertise the badges.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before you joined, and everyone's been putting it out there. I've seen a lot of people put it out on social media and stuff. So
That's awesome.
yeah, and I think before you joined Sapien, I was saying if we don't make the full goal, we'll still get whatever we raised, and we'll just have to depend upon the sales through the vendor at DEF CON to make up the difference.
That's cool.
I don't know why I did this. I just wanted to see what it looked like with the copper filled. And here it is, waiting. I think I can. I wonder how big these files have gotten so far. Oh, yeah, so this... I typically try to keep the PCB files to under 5 meg because they'll grow a little when you turn them into Gerber files, and I try not to do a huge Gerber file. Just this middle board alone is over 10 meg. So lots of stuff to load. Oh, it didn't load my fill zone. That's right, I forgot to hit click fill. It doesn't automatically fill the zones. You have to tell it to. I mean, I think there's an option to automatically fill all zones, but I don't have that turned on. Oh well. One last look at the middle board of Godzilla. And this will be amazing. I really hope that the art on the sides turns out. I'll zoom in on this. I did like the battleship and the explosions coming off the guns are what's going to be lit up. And then we have some tanks over here. This way, if you don't have an SAO plugged in, Godzilla's still fighting something, right? Because it's Godzilla versus. He has to be versus something always. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to stop the stream there. For everyone that's watching, we'll do this again next week, but by then the campaign will be closed and we'll know where we sit with orders, and you'll have to wait for DEF CON after next week to get them. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and watch again next week.